Hi folks, welcome to Set Apart Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by and watching. I haven't been putting out as many videos here lately, but I'm gonna start getting more regular again. We've just been really busy here around the homestead. Warm weather is finally starting to get here, or warmer weather, and we've been really busy. But I promise to get more regular on the videos here soon. Today I wanted to talk about something that is just a good subject to talk about with homesteading, but it also fits in with prepping and even with what is going on around us today with the pandemic and the whole world just changing basically. And that is being a good neighbor out here in the country. Before I get started, from time to time I try to remember to mention if you want any more information about contacting me or some of the things that I do, there's some products, long-term food storage products that I do sell, and there's links of that kind of stuff below in the description. Don't have to do it. You're still welcome to watch and be part of the Set Apart Homestead family, but if you're interested, they're down there in the link below, or the description below. There's links. So living out here in the country, and especially those of us that live more secluded than just, and when I say there's kind of say it like there's a difference, what I mean by living in the country and living secluded, in my mind, not all living in the country is secluded. Some people can live just outside of town, just outside the city limits, and they're kind of out in the country, but they're not really secluded. And then there's those of us that live many miles from the nearest town, and down some gravel road that seems to go nowhere, and then all of a sudden there's a piece of property, and you may be more than a half mile, or even a few miles from your neighbor. You may not even be able to see your neighbors. And so for people that live like that, those of us that kind of homestead, or at least make that attempt, having a relationship with your neighbors is actually quite important. But it's one of those things that most of the people that live out like this, we live this way because we like the seclusion. We like not being bothered by people. We don't enjoy having door-to-door salesmen showing up at our door, and so that's one of the reasons why we choose to live this way. One of the many. So most people that live out like this are a little bit more, slightly reclusive, and there's definitely people that are more outgoing personalities and like to be around a lot of people. But typically, those of us that live out here enjoy our solitude a little bit more than the average person. But that being said, it's still very important to develop some level of working relationship with your neighbors. Even in just a normal day-to-day world, if that's what we were living in, which really anymore it's not normal. Having that kind of relationship is good, because living out like this, for instance here, I know that if there was some type of emergency that I had to call for an ambulance or police or fire, their response time is about an hour out here. And it could certainly be more, but that's the average, is about an hour. I live in a very large county, and at night, the entire county is covered by maybe 1 to 2 police officers, deputies. So if there was something that happened, I know that it could take quite a while before someone got here. What if there's a snowstorm or tornado or flooding or an ice storm, and we need some help? What if the car breaks down and we're trying to get to the store and we need some help? Those types of things happen out here too, just like in the city. But in the city, it's your neighbors are closer. It's much easier to call a tow truck, or to call maybe even a taxi, or if you need to call for emergency help, a lot of times they're just a few minutes away. Whereas out here, that's one of kind of the negative things, is help is a long way off, and sometimes not at all. So you need to learn to develop a relationship with the people around you, because you never know when your vehicle breaks down, or, sorry, something crawling up my leg there, a little six-legged critter probably. You never know when something breaks down, something doesn't work, someone gets hurt, and or you're trying to get the cows in, they knock the fence down, and they're running all over the place, and that neighbor down the road could be a big help. And so, you don't have to necessarily be buddies with them, but most of the people that live out like this are very open to that. They're good about being neighbors, being neighborly. There's always those few people that are just jerks. They're that where, those people are anywhere you go. But the vast majority of the people out in the country are pretty good people. And so they're okay with building that relationship. Now, that's just kind of normal time. From a prepping standpoint, and especially with what's going on in the world today, it's definitely important. In fact, the closest neighbor that I have, he lives over the hill from me, and we've talked, and we have an agreement that if there's any problems, prowlers, any kind of problems that happen, I call him, he calls me, and we back each other up. And we've already kind of established that. And that's my closest neighbor. I know several of the others, and they've all said the same kind of thing. If you have a problem, if you need something, come get us, call us. And that's kind of how people work out here. It's kind of on a sort of level of a MAG. For those of you that don't know what that means, it's mutual assistance group. Usually mutual assistance groups are more formally organized. They work together more organized. They may have meetings regularly, whereas your neighbors out here in the country, they may not do that. And it's fine if you want to, but they may not. But there's definitely a level of mutual assistance going on. And so for those of you that are wanting to move out like this, or maybe just recently moved, or maybe you have and you just haven't got to know the people around you, I want to encourage you to do that. Because with the things going on in this world today, we certainly need to have more people around us that we know, and have a level of trust. I know for some of us it's difficult to be completely trustworthy of other people until we really get to know them, but it doesn't mean that you can't establish some level of trust. My closest neighbor that I talk to most often, the first time we talked, he just kind of brought it up. We were kind of talking about what's going on with this pandemic and virus and stuff, and he said, yeah, people call them preppers, he says, but it's just something that we've just done for years, of just kind of stocking up on things and putting extra aside when we go shopping, and so that kind of opened the door to where we started talking and both realized that each of us were on the same thought train when it comes to being prepared. And of course that opened other doors, and we've kind of realized that we're very much alike, which is kind of a scary thing. But the point to this is that even though you may live out in the country, and one of your reasons for living out in the country is because you may not like to be around lots of people. I'm the kind of person, I like individual people. I don't like crowds of people. It's not comfortable for me. I don't enjoy it. But individuals are cool most of the time. And so, I enjoy the solitude. I enjoy the peace and quiet out here in the country. But I also know that it's important to have a relationship with those around us. It's something that we definitely need to be working on. If you haven't done that so far, it's certainly important for you to do that, because here's the thing. If everything comes crashing down, which it's really starting to look like it's possible, and things start progressively getting worse, people are going to be less and less open to building new relationships, to building new friendships, because they will worry that, is this person just trying to buddy up to me because they might know that I'm stable and able to survive, and they're not, and they're just trying to be friends just so that they can feed off of, you know, what I have or my knowledge. Whereas now you're just being neighbors. So it's much easier to build that relationship and start building that trust before it happens. There's a lot of people that I know, a lot of preppers that have flat out said, you know, once SHTF happens and it's completely done, I'm not taking on any new friends. You know, I'm not opening that door anymore to any new relationships, new friendships. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's not a bad idea. So right now, where you're at, start building those relationships, because you never know when that person might be helpful. And I'm not saying go tell them everything you have and all your plans and open up the safe to them, basically, and give away all your secrets. But you certainly want to develop some working trust with them, because you never know, especially out here. You never know when something might happen and you need a little help. You never know when some you know, drunk or high crazies show up on your property for whatever reason, and you might need a little assistance, or you know, your child is injured, or your animals get out and you need help rounding them up. You know, your vehicle breaks down. These types of things happen out here, and you have to be more self-sufficient. That's a big point. That's the biggest point, really, about homesteading, is to be self-sufficient. And part of that self-sufficiency isn't just doing it all on your own. It's about having a network of people that you can depend on to be there for you when you need them, and that you will be there for them when they need you. And as we all know, things are getting crazy still. You know, they're not really lightening up. Whether or not the virus is that big a deal or not, or whether it's the curve is flattening, you know, all the kinds of things that you hear, and it kind of goes back and forth each day. The government is just, it's all over. They're kind of losing their minds. There was one I posted on the Facebook page for this channel this morning about police showing up in Ohio to an Amish gathering on private property, issued tickets, arrested someone, and the sheriff there said that basically we're not going to allow this to happen. You know, if we hear any calls of people gathering together, we're going to go in there and we're going to break it up, and we're going to do it for the safety of the community. So the days where you're seeing actual freedom are slowly coming to an end. And I know there's still some areas where there's local law enforcement and local government officials that are kind of fighting this. But I think that slippery slope, we're already on it. You know, the domino effect has already happened. Someone's already flicked that first domino, and there's no stopping it at this point. It's already, you know, in the process of falling over. So I think things are going to get worse. Food supplies, lots of things. You know, you could go on and on. The point of this video, though, is to build the relationships around you out here in the country. It's very critical. Unless you're fortunate enough to have maybe other families or a close friend that you share property with, that's great. If you don't, one family, it's a little difficult sometimes for one family to do everything. Sometimes you just need a little help. And there's always those disaster times that you need a little help getting through those too. So work on building good relationships with the people around you out in the sticks, out here in the country. And most people, like I said, are very open to that. You know, they don't like people bugging them and getting into their business. They like their privacy. Most people out here do. But they're also usually still very open and very friendly to being good neighbors. All right. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.